see what, if there is any other way.
So after 10 minutes, I'll be back in my card.
We're losing.
We've got a mixed speed at this point.
Hey!
You know, I have more vaccines for you. With the allergy on that. They're saying that what the enemy is going to make
No, that's not me. I don't know who it is.
Your camera?
No, this is my camera here. I wanted to kind of be on the end there, but
Sorry, you're going to stand there?
I'm going to stay just towards the ground here anyway.
Sorry?
I'm just going to be, this is my truck here, that's me.
So you want to stand up or down?
No, I'll be standing down. So that's fine.
You don't know who this guy is?
No idea. No idea who this is.
I wanna follow where she goes. I think about her and she knows it. I wanna let it take control. Cause every time that she gets closer, she pulls me in and out, keep me guessing. Baby, I just stop confessing. I've been shaking, I'm loving it, you go crazy. You take all my inhibitions. Baby, there's nothing holding me back. You take me places that tear up my reputation. Manipulate my decisions. Baby, there's nothing holding me back.
parts you're from? Sorry. Okay. No, you're right. You're right. I appreciate that. Like this is, I'm going to have to leave this to you guys to sort out, but just be aware that that is the camera, and we need to make sure that I mean, I think everyone really Alright, sorry. I'm gonna, I can't instruct either of you to like step away or to move, right? You both know that that's the camera and we need a clear shot from it. Yeah. Okay.
Are you going to have people sit next to you?
No, you're going to have to move. I'm the pool camera. If they don't get their pictures, they don't go out on network. Don't go to anybody.
What's the situation?
Right?
I'm just going to, okay, I'm just going to go and get up our press team, okay?
The problem is he's got your head in his shot. Steve, have you got this lady's head in your shot?
What? I don't want her to put a camera up.
Oh, I see.
Quite close here.
Alright, show me. I think you should move.
Go the other side. Go the other side.
I'm going to call Reuters. What's their number? Because you know we're giving you our feed. Okay, but I'm not telling you. I'm asking you. I'm going to call your boss. Well, they might be able to intervene and ask them to by themselves. Obviously, that would have a benefit. Well, I did not, respectfully, I didn't think you like to speak to kids or the I am trying to find out what's going on. Well, the situation seems to be that you're standing sort of in the way of a pool camera. I tend to believe my camera operator.
Wait, you guys are the press team.
The voice
Sorry?
Let's just all calm down.
I'm the pool feed.
Yeah, no,
I'm the camera that's going out to everybody.
No, I got that.
That's what the question is. Is camera in your way?
She could be. She gets very tight to me then.
Okay, can we just all calm down? No, guys, can we all just calm down? I'm just, no, just move the other side. I'm coming in. Okay. The compromise. If you both have to me to send me to each way along? Are you happy now if she's moved a little bit that way? Are you happy now if she's moved a little bit that way?
If she goes a little bit that way, fine.
Yeah,
As long as she's not.
I mean, Joe's going to be dead on centre on the stage. Yeah?
It's in the way.
Then please could you
Okay, let's just...
It's down to you. It's down to
Okay, no, let's just calm down. I mean...
because this is the pool feed for the whole broadcast.
Yeah, no, I
including
understand
Reuters
that.
TV.
This argument is just about communication and lack of
fair enough.
And this guy threatened to put the camera up. All you have to say was, I'm the pool camera. Would it be possible if you could move a few inches? Yeah, but now you're being patronising.
Well, I'm doing what you're doing. Please.
Let's just go never just calm down. That's right. And then how can it work? Yes.
I will continue. That's not a threat. But because you're threatening the camera in the way that
At one point, I threatened to put my camera in his way. She threw out an awful
No, don't worry. Yeah. So here, but obviously, if an issue where it looks like it could be in the way, no, and it's not. But if it looks like it could be an issue, can we just politely ask him to move? Yeah.
Jess? Hi, Mike from LBC. I'm really well, thank you. I believe Philip Lee is being the one who's going around teaching these afterwards. Is that right? Yes, please. That'd be great. You'll be answering all of yes. Right. Is there anyone else here? I'll send him to Adam.
I'm not very tech savvy. Yeah, I just do.
was with COVID this morning at St. Marino's.
So it's not bucket, they're both going to be
Unfortunately, it's caused so much hate. I mean, nobody's talking about you getting started Terry Ryan, David Cameron. That's why we're in the net. I deliver, I can deliver. No, I do delivering and cameras. I've been doing this in the 70s, not longer than dead. But every now and then I want to do something sensible, for inspiration.
parliamentary candidate for St Albans, and I'm delighted to welcome you all here this evening. If you don't know, St Albans is only 20 minutes away from St Pancras on the train. Here are a few facts about St Albans. St Albans voted 63% Remain. But it has a hard Brexit MP. You're getting the hang of this, aren't you? Excellent. In St Albans, we have more pubs per square mile than anywhere else in the UK. Yeah, that's it. You're really keen on the pubs, I know this. In St Albans, we have a campaign called the Save St Albans Pubs campaign. It was set up to fight the Tories' awful, outdated business rate system. And they have designed 5 Christmas pub crawls. Hey, exactly, that's it. So I'm encouraging all of you to come to St Albans at least 5 times between now and the 12th of December. And if you come to our office, we'll give you some leaflets to deliver on the way. So that's enough about me. I want to know about you. Put your hands in the air if you joined the Lib Dems before 2015. Okay, it's a good number. Hands down. Put your hands in the air if you joined after 2015. That's amazing. Keep your hands in the air if you joined after 2016. Keep your hands in the air if you joined after 2017, after 2018, in 2019. Last week? Last week, what's your name? That's amazing. You're very welcome. Doesn't that just show that we are a party on the up? And we are a party that can deliver a brighter future. So, you've joined us, you've found your voice, and now I want you to use it. So answer me this. Do you want to stop inequality? Yes! Do you want to tackle the climate emergency? Yes! And do you want to stop Brexit? Yes! Excellent. It's pretty lucky because you're in the right place. Now, whether you've joined us from Labour or the Conservatives, or you're a lifelong Lib Dem voter who's only just decided to get off the sofa and do something about it, you are very, very welcome here this evening. So thank you for coming. Now, you guys are going to have to work really, really hard in the next 3 weeks. So give yourselves a round of applause and have a great night. Thank you.
Hello. Hello. Welcome, everyone. I am Matt Sanders. I am the parliamentary candidate for Hampstead and Kilburn, and I'd like to welcome you all here to Camden this evening. I am really proud to call Camden my home, and I'm also really proud to say this is a place that the Liberal Democrats won overwhelmingly in the European elections in May, and we are fighting to win here again on the 12th of December. Camden is a really special place to me. It is open, diverse, inclusive, and it is where tens of thousands of people from communities all across the world have made their home. And friends, I can tell you that Camden is a place that loves the message that our candidate to be Prime Minister, Jo Swinson, is putting to the country. When I'm out and about knocking on doors in Hampstead and Kilburn, people are responding to Jo's clear and simple call: stop Brexit. People here know that Brexit would be a disaster for our community, for the people we cherish, and it would destroy the fabric that binds us together. Friends, Brexit must be stopped. And in Jo Swinson, the Liberal Democrats have a leader who is fighting Brexit with every ounce of her being. Compare the energy and passion that Jo has shown in this campaign with the two other supposed leaders, Boris Johnson and Jeremy Corbyn. Boris Johnson is walking the country into a Brexit disaster from which we may never recover. And Jeremy Corbyn is just standing idly by. Whatever that is, it is not leadership. And I will tell you why Jeremy Corbyn doesn't want to talk about Brexit. It's because he likes Remain votes, but he does not want us to remain in the EU. He has spent a lifetime trying to get us out of Europe, opposing us joining the European community and opposing the Maastricht Treaty. This is the man that every single Labour candidate in the country, including in Hampstead and Kilburn, is backing to be Prime Minister. And friends, we are not going to let him get away with it, are we? No. We are not going to let the same stale two-party politics shape the future of our country, are we? No. We are not. Because, friends, this election, it is not a choice between the lesser of two evils. It is a choice about what kind of country we want to live in. Now, last night, there was a so-called debate on television. I am still not sure how you can have a debate when both sides agree with each other. But what we heard was the same politics we've heard for 70 years. Actually, it was the politics that got us into this Brexit mess in the first place. A politics from the Conservatives and Labour that does not represent our communities. A politics that has failed our country time and time again, and now threatens the open and inclusive society that we wish to be. Millions of people all across the country looked at Corbyn and Johnson last night, and they didn't want to choose either. And the real scandal is they were denied the chance to hear from the real alternative, our leader, Jo Swinson. Now, I have known Jo a long time. I have seen her fight for fairness and equality, and I'm really so proud to have this opportunity to introduce her in Camden as she lays out her positive vision for our country. She is passionate about what our country can achieve and what the Liberal Democrats can do for our NHS, our schools, and the environment. She is passionate about building a brighter future for our country, one that is open, inclusive, and outward-looking. Friends, at this election, we really do have the opportunity to end this cycle of despair. We have a leader in Jo Swinson who offers a positive vision for our country, a real choice that millions of people want to hear, a new voice ringing out with a different way of doing politics that is saying with absolute crystal clarity, stop Brexit and build a brighter future. Friends, I would like you to welcome my friend and our candidate to be the next Prime Minister, the voice of a new Liberal generation, the voice of Remain, Jo Swinson.
Democrats, thank you for joining me tonight. I hope not to keep you too long. It's not even 5:30, so plenty of time to get in another canvas session after this. Lots of places nearby you can go to. I am so proud to be launching our manifesto tonight. so excited to be sharing with everyone our bold vision for our country. Because we deserve better than what is on offer from the two tired old parties, from the two men who only know how to rehash ideas from the past, whether that's the 1970s or the 1870s. For too many people, things aren't working as they should be. We are the 5th largest economy in the world, yet 1 in 5 of us in this country lives in poverty. Parents working full-time on the national living wage who are struggling to provide for their children. I'm not talking about trips to Disneyland. I'm talking about putting food on the table, paying for school uniforms, keeping the heating on. There are mothers, like the one in my constituency, who came to see me. Having escaped an abusive relationship, she'd got out. And then she faced a 5-week wait for her universal credit payment. Going without so her child could eat, and having to rely on the kindness of neighbours to invite them round for a hot meal. There are schools in this country shutting early on Fridays because they can't afford to pay their teachers. Head teachers who are having to ask parents to buy toilet roll. There are teenagers, like the one I met on a visit to a school recently, who have found themselves in deep crisis, feeling like they have no way out. And in that moment, the professional help they needed just wasn't there. And tonight, there are families sleeping in makeshift accommodation, whatever possessions they have left packed in plastic bags, their lives devastated by flooding. But instead of addressing these very real problems, from in-work poverty and inequality, funding for our schools, the mental health crisis, and the climate emergency, we have wasted the last 3.5 years talking about Brexit, on pursuing a path that we know will make all of these problems worse. There is no form of Brexit that will be good for the future of our country. It would put our jobs at risk, hurt our NHS, reduce our environmental protections, threaten workers' rights, and it would make us less safe. Whether Brexit is done by Boris Johnson or sorted by Jeremy Corbyn, they are both gambling with your future. Boris Johnson is collecting quite the set of celebrity endorsements. Britain's biggest racist, Tommy Robinson, has come out in his support. Just days after Boris Johnson struck a deal with Nigel Farage. But at least President Trump will be happy. His two friends coming together like he wanted. And clearly, President Trump's wish is Boris Johnson's command. Boris Johnson is deluded if he thinks he can negotiate a new trade deal with Europe by this time next year. And yet, he refuses to extend the transition period. He refuses to confirm that he won't crash us out of the European Union at the end of 2020. We don't know what reassurances he gave to Nigel Farage, but we do know this. Boris Johnson only cares about Boris Johnson. And he'll say and do whatever it takes to keep him in number 10. This is a man who lied to the Queen, who has lied to you before, and he's lying to you now. And 2 weeks into the general election, Jeremy Corbyn still won't tell you how he would campaign in a people's vote. The biggest question of the election, and he still won't answer it. Elections are about choosing the kind of country you want to build. A man who refuses to tell you what that looks like doesn't deserve your vote. Boris Johnson and Jeremy Corbyn are living in a fantasy land if they think that Brexit is as simple as getting a deal through Parliament. If we leave the European Union, we are looking at years and years and years of endless trade negotiations. More time and energy wasted on getting something that will never be as good as what we already have. More time and energy wasted fulfilling the ideological fantasies of Nigel Farage so that Boris Johnson can play at being Prime Minister. More time and energy wasted that we could spend on improving everyone's lives. The solution is clear. If you want to put an end to this, if you want to stop Boris Johnson and his cabal of hardline Brexiteers, then you need to vote for the Liberal Democrats. We are the only party that can win a significant number of seats from the Conservatives and deprive them a majority. Over the last 2 weeks, we have set out our plans to build that brighter future. We've shared our plan to transform mental health services. Imagine going to the hospital with a broken arm and being told you need to travel hundreds of miles to get treatment. You'd be outraged, right? Now, imagine being a child in the midst of a mental health crisis and being made to travel hundreds of miles just so that you can get the support that you need. Separated from your friends and family, just when you need them the most. We shouldn't accept that that is just how it is. So the Liberal Democrats will invest £11 billion over the next 5 years, investing more money in talking therapies so people don't have to wait for months, and increasing the number of psychiatrists and specialist mental health nurses. It is about time that we treat mental health with the same urgency as physical health. Last year, the UK Parliament was the first in the world to declare a climate emergency. But the level and pace of action by the Conservative government has been woeful. And this week, we saw reports that the Labour Party have dropped their 2030 net zero target that they simply hadn't thought through. No plan and no clue for how to save our planet. Totally uninspiring leadership when put in contrast to the thousands of children and teenagers who have taken to our streets to remind us that we are running out of time to save the planet. Like my friend's 12-year-old Evie, who has stood day after day on the road in her hometown in Holt at the side with a huge homemade sign that reads, "Treat a crisis like a crisis." People like Evie, those children, that's why the Liberal Democrats will deliver a 10-year emergency programme to cut greenhouse gas emissions straight away, so that in a decade, 80% of electricity will come from renewables, and so that we can lift millions of people out of fuel poverty by insulating their home in the next 5 years. Liberal Democrats, we are the only party with a radical and credible plan to tackle the climate emergency, and we will not leave our children with a boiling planet. And the state of our schools is just not good enough. The Conservatives have cut school funding to the bone, and children have paid the price, especially those with the most complex needs. Liberal Democrats will build a brighter future for every child. By stopping Brexit, we can spend the bulk of our Remain bonus on reversing school cuts, so that schools can hire 20,000 more teachers and pupils can leave school happy, healthy, and with the skills they need to succeed in life. Because our schools should be world-class, not forced to cut corners to balance budgets. That is why we are going to put our money where our heart is, in the future of our children, giving them the best start in life. And we will create a fairer economy, so that everyone can live a secure, happy, and fulfilling life. We'll start by recognising that in a world that's rapidly changing, it's just not good enough to say that education stops after school or university. That's why we will give every adult a £10,000 skills wallet, so they can keep learning, developing the skills that they need for the jobs of the future. Creating a fairer economy is also about reinventing the relationship between business and the communities on which they rely. I believe that business can be a force for good, that it can be part of the solution not part of the problem. And I am so proud that our biggest investment in this manifesto is to help parents. Currently, when those 9 months of paid parental leave are up, the cost of childcare just makes returning to work impossible for far too many people. We all know someone, a friend or family member, usually a woman, who has had to give up her career to take care of their family. They take time out of work for a couple of years until the current childcare help starts. And then if they have a second or third child, soon enough, they've lost out on 6 or 7 years' worth of work experience, opportunities, promotions, and pay rises. Every family is unique, and what works for one won't work for another. But we are deluded if we think that families have a real choice at the moment about how they balance work with taking care of their little ones. That's why we, Liberal Democrats, will help parents going back to work with free, high-quality childcare from when their child is 9 months old until their first day at school. 35 free hours a week, 48 weeks a year. And this isn't just about giving parents a proper choice. We don't think that any child should miss out on high-quality early years education because their parents can't afford it. If we want to close the academic gap between rich and poor children, we need to put our money where our mouth is and invest in those formative early years. We will transform childcare so that every family and every child can thrive. At this election, the future of our country is at stake. Don't let anyone tell you that it doesn't get better than Boris Johnson or Jeremy Corbyn, that we are destined to stand alone in the world, that we must face the biggest challenges on our own, that Brexit is inevitable. None of that is a given. The future of our country is in our hands, and we can make a better choice. So if you want to stop Boris Johnson and stop Brexit, vote Liberal Democrat. If you want the £50 billion Remain bonus to improve your life, vote Liberal Democrat. If you want to nurture the bonds in our family of nations, vote Liberal Democrat. If you want to work with our friends to tackle the climate crisis, vote Liberal Democrat. If you want to build a brighter future, vote Liberal Democrat.